Okay, sorry. It's it's Astro Boy. I think in Japan they call him Atom Boy, I believe. Yes. And I bought this in Japan. I bought this in Japan, and actually, I could actually show you. Let me see. I have the game on, but I can also show you this some stuff in Japan. Let's see if I can find those. When I went to Japan, could it be this? Okay, I'm getting notifications now from the YouTube video. Okay, sorry. Okay, yes, yes, thank you. Oh, yeah, whatever. Yes, thanks. No. Oh, come on. Stop it. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna switch to this. Let me see. I just wanna see if I can show you this. Well, it's not too many photos, but you know what? I'll show you anyway. You might like this. This is Japan, and it's so badass, man. Yes. So these are photos from April 2013. That was my first trip to Japan. Man, it was the best. Yes, Dark Mario. I went to Japan. I've been to Japan 3 times, and it was always my dream to go to Japan. Um, I'll tell you really quickly though. When I was a kid and I saw Akira, which you guys probably know, the actual film Akira, the animated feature based on the um, the box that I have on my YouTube video. Yeah, that. That's when I heard of a country called Japan. I was like, wow, they made this really cool stuff. I could not understand the story on Akira. I had no idea what it was about, but visually affected me, and I think indirectly it made me or influenced me to go into work in the entertainment business. So I always thought, oh wow, going to Japan would be really cool. But going to Japan feels like it's like going to another planet because it's like it's not even close. At least for me, where I was in Mexico, I was like, that's too far. Like I don't even speak Japanese. Like what would I do there? Like who could I go to? Who I could talk to about it? It was just difficult. And I always thought, one day I'll go. So then I moved to Texas, and then I started my career and all that stuff. And when I moved to New Zealand, New Zealand is not close to Japan. It is not. It's actually on the same, almost the same time zone, but Japan is up here, and New Zealand is like way up here. So Japan is in the northern hemisphere, and New Zealand is in the southern hemisphere. But at the time, we were so busy at work that I told my boss, you know what, I really want to go take a holiday. When would it be a good time to take a holiday? And he said to me, you know what, we have 13 movies per year. There's never going to be a better time. If you want to do it right now, do it. And then I can just approve it, and then you just have to let me know what days ahead of time, and just go ahead and take your holiday because we're gonna be busy, and you're gonna be doing overtime anyway. So I was like, okay. So it was April 13, which is around Golden Week. It's a holiday in Japan. So I booked my trip. I talked to a Japanese girl that was working at Weta at the time, and she helped me book everything. I stayed in Tokyo in an area called Roppongi Hills, which is a very Americanized area of Tokyo. Back then, during World War II, after the bombing and all that, the GIs, the American soldiers, they had a base there in Roppongi Hills. So that area was, I guess you could say, was like the American town, and that's where a lot of that's where they had like how can I put it? Well, like when the American soldiers were bored and they didn't have nothing better to do and they had free time, they wanted to have a good time. They would go to this area in Roppongi Hills where there were bars. They had bars. There were nightclubs, that kind of stuff. So they would go there to hang out, have fun. And also Japanese women wanted to go there to meet American soldiers, right? With hopes of, like, I don't know, maybe get a husband or things like that. So that was back then. So Roppongi Hills right now has changed. Like, it's not like that anymore. Right now it's just like a very Americanized town, but it's still Japan. It looks like Tokyo. The only difference is that you can find people that speak English, and you could see GIs every now and then. You see a lot of foreigners as well. People speak English there. Not everyone, but it's very likely, like in my case, because I didn't know Japanese. My friend suggested to me, go to Roppongi Hills, because if you are in need to ask for questions, it's easier for you to talk to someone there that might help you. So I said, okay, fine, so I'll do that. So I once I got to Narita Airport, which is like maybe a couple of, it's maybe like 30 minutes away from Tokyo, I went to Roppongi Hills, went to the hotel, and did my check-in. And then after that, I just started hanging out there. It's amazing. It's really cool. That's a place. There's a place called. Actually, I'll show you here. Well, that's in the subway. I took a photo. I had an iPhone 5 at a time, so I was just taking photos there and just trying to sort of see what I could take. For me, going to Japan was literally like going to another planet, because when I went to Europe, or when I went to, well, the US or Canada, or even New Zealand or the UK, they're pretty similar. Especially the US and Canada is the same thing. I'll be honest, it's almost the same thing. If any of you, let's say you fly Mighty B, you came to Canada blindfolded, that if no one told you were coming here, they were just saying to you, okay, you know what, we're just gonna go to a place that I think you're gonna have a great time, but they didn't tell you where it was, and then you came here, and then they just kind of removed the thing from the eyes, and you saw around. To you, it will look like America. Is literally the same. I guess the only way for you to realize that you were not there is because maybe the accent might be a little different, and also because they have Canadian flags, right? But other than that, the streets look the same. The stores, I mean, we have 7-Elevens, Starbucks, McDonald's, you name it. And in Europe, it's sort of the same thing. There's a lot of American franchises all over, but in Japan, it's different. In Japan, everything is in Japanese. The money is different. The coins are different. Um, in Japan, they have bright colors everywhere. Like, it's almost like in kindergarten. In kindergarten they have like red, greens, blues, yellows everywhere, like very bright colors. Sorry. In Japan, it's like that. They're advertising everything that they post, everything that they have there, whether it's like a stoplight or a convenience store or a drugstore. Everything has bright colors. So, and also obviously it's in Japanese, right? It's in hiragana or katakana. So just the fact that it's in something that you cannot read or understand makes it very exotic. So well, that's how I felt about Japan. So when I went to Japan, I was like, man, I'm gonna have a great time. And I went on my own because no one wanted to go with me. They thought, oh, you're crazy, man. No, you're not gonna be able to talk to anyone. But I thought I have to go, because if not, when am I gonna go? So that was my that's how I saw it at the time. So anyway, that's a photo in the subway. This, I just like the building. They have great architecture. Like, they have some amazing buildings in Japan, and Japan is very clean, very very clean, and they're very. I would say they're perfectionists when it comes to like construction. Like, you don't even see like a piece of wall chipped, or you don't see cracks. Like, if there's something broken, they go fix it. Like, they want it to look nice. Also, the buildings, I mean, look at this. This looks so monumental. Like, it looks gigantic to me. I'm pretty sure this is similar to any other buildings in the US, especially like in the 60s, 70s, or maybe 50s. Um, I would say this looks very Americanized to me, but like old school. Like, this one right here looks a lot newer, but this looks like more classic. But look how big it is. Like, look at the ceilings. I mean, look at the people. They look so tiny compared to all these different sections. um, Also here, see, you can see this is downtown. Um, well, it's just this is the thing about Japan, that Japan is not like Western cities. You know, here in North America, if there's a big city, usually in the middle, in the center, that's downtown, right? And then the city kind of spreads from there to in all directions, right? And that's pretty much everywhere, like in Europe, in America, in at least from the ones that I've seen, that's how it is. Even New Zealand, except if it's like in on a, let's say on the on a coast, usually there's the coast and then obviously the ocean because they cannot expand through the ocean, but then it expands where the land is, right? But in Japan, especially Tokyo, it's like a neuron. You know, like the brain, when you have neurons and you see how each neuron is connected, think of it as like it has very different, a lot of downtowns. That's how Tokyo is. It has a lot of downtowns, and each downtown is different. One could be for clothing, another one is for food, another one is for video games, another one is for cars, another one is for, like, it's enormous, and there's always new to do in Tokyo. Like, if you go to Japan a month, you would never be bored. If you have the money, there's always something new to see. So yeah. Okay, let me read the chat really quickly. Okay, yes, Fly Mighty B. Yeah, you're gonna have dinner. Dark Mario, you're in Ecuador. Oh, no, no, no. From Ecuador to Japan is very probably. Um, I don't know. I guess for you, from coming from Ecuador, I think it would be like it would not be a direct flight, right? Like it would be probably going to the US or Canada and then from there go to Japan, right? I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe there is a direct flight. I don't know. But at least for me, because I'm from Mexico, I know that there isn't. Well, maybe there is now, but at the time they didn't. But at least for me, when I was in New Zealand, they did have a direct flight, and it was 10 hours. 10 hours from New Zealand to Japan. However, I had to take two flights. One from Wellington to Auckland, which is the closest, biggest city from Wellington. So I had to fly 1 hour from Wellington to Auckland, and then in Auckland, do a connection, and then from there fly 10 or 11 hours up north. Like basically, it's just going straight up to Japan, and that's 10 hours. So I would say 11 hours, adding the other hour, the other flight. Now, when I went to Japan from Canada, it was also 10 hours, but the only difference is that it was from here, like from here to here. So it was horizontal, right? But from Japan to New Zealand, it was more like going up and down. And the flight, I'm trying to remember. I think in Canadian dollars was probably around 13 to $1,400, which is $1,400. I guess I don't know how much that would be in Ecuador money, but obviously it's not cheap, right? But it's cheaper than going to New Zealand. Going to New Zealand is like over $2,000. So, but also you can find good deals. Like for instance, if you go to Japan during summer, well, of course it's gonna be very expensive because that's like holiday season, right? Or vacation season or summertime. If you go there after Golden Week, which is in April, and that's what I did. I went a week after Golden Week. Prices go down. So a lot of the things that I spent to in Japan were a lot cheaper because people had already gone on a holiday on that week, Golden Week. I really don't know what Golden Week means, but I know that Golden Week in April, I guess it's kind of like Easter, but it's not Easter. It has a different meaning. So, but the last time I went to Japan, I actually got a good deal, and I think I paid $700 Canadian, and that is a pretty good deal considering you're going to Japan. But it's cheaper than if I were to fly from Mexico. So yeah. Okay, let me go back to the chat. Uh, Fly. So you're Japanese American? Who, me? No, no. I am Mexican Canadian, but no, I am not Japanese. Uh, oh, you're asking Fly. Oh, I thought you were asking me. No, actually, I don't think so. I don't think he is. I don't think so. I don't actually know. I don't know if he speaks Japanese. Hello, Loltik. How's it going? Change stream category to. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, man. I keep making that same mistake. Just chatting. Well, the funny thing is, I was actually going to play Spider Man, but it's alright. Just chatting. Just chatting. Oh, thank you. Thank you for. Oh, just chatting. Okay, chatting. Yes. Oh, wait. I forgot to change something else. Um, okay. All right. So, going back to the chat. Yes, thank you. Elias, hello, man. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great day on Sunday. Um, Thank you. Yes, I bet. You know what? Yeah, I'm still making a lot of mistakes, like just updating that part. But thank you for reminding me. I'm gonna try to be better at it. Okay. Oh, really? Elias, so you have. Wow. You know what? I'll do that this week. I actually went on Stream Elements and I kind of read about it and I kind of made some, added some things in terms of rewards. But I need to learn more, so I'm gonna do that this week. Thank you, man. Thanks for reminding me, and thank you very much for engaging. Thank you. Let's see, Dark Mario. Nice trip from. Nice trip to. Yeah, yeah. It was very nice. Yes. Also, it takes 10 hours. Oh, from. Okay, I see. 10 hours. Okay. Oh, you like to go to Colombia? Well, to Colombia, it should be closer to you, right? I would say probably a few hours. But yeah, Japan, I would say is like 10 hours. So let me go back to the photo. So this is, you could say downtown Tokyo, or yeah, downtown. But this is very close to the Imperial Palace. And let's see if I can show you photos of that. Okay, that is the actual, one of the main stations, the Tokyo station. And look how classy it looks. Like that looks very westernized if you ask me. Like if I saw that, I would think that's in the UK or in London. But that's actually in Japan. That's the Tokyo station. And it's enormous. See how big it is. And all these doors are just different entrances because there's different escalators to go to the obviously to where the trains are, and there are so many trains that leave from this area every hour or every 30 minutes. Like it's so busy. But even here in this photo, see how it looks empty, like there isn't very many people, but usually it is very crowded. And one interesting thing, this was taken in April 2013, and look, they were already advertising the Olympics, Tokyo 2020. Oh, it says here right here, candidate city. So even I think at this time they were still not confirmed that they were gonna have the Olympics, but they were already telling people about it. So even like 7 years before, they were already getting ready for it. Now, one thing that I personally I found amazing about Japan, especially Tokyo, is that their streets are enormous. Like, see how big they have: one, two, three, four, 5 lanes, and look at the area for people to cross. It is pretty big. That's something I hadn't seen in many other cities. Usually, it's probably like half the size of that. So I don't know. I had a deja vu when I went there and I saw this. I actually spent several minutes just looking around. I was like, wow, I feel like a little kid. That's very strange. So that's the Tokyo station. Now this, I like this photo. All these photos I'm gonna show you, I like them very much. There's something that, at least this is my perception, especially from watching a lot of Japanese movies and especially also anime, is that I think Japanese people, they love to have a good relationship with nature, and it's almost like 50% nature and then the other 50 is city or buildings or urban areas. And for me, it was surreal to see that I'm in front of a gigantic street. Like this looks like an avenue, but it's enormous. I mean, see how many lanes they have, like five in one end and then another five in the other side. And I think especially if you're from a westernized city, they drive on the opposite side of the road. Like, see, these cars are going um, on the left. They're driving on the left side, and the other cars in the right side. At least I know that in Mexico, in the U.S., we always drive on the right side. So that's something that excuse me, got my attention when I was in Japan. That they drive in the opposite way, just like in the UK or just like in New Zealand as well. But see, look at how the first thing you see is trees. You see nature. You see grass. You see sakura trees, cherry blossoms. These trees look very Japanese, I believe. And then you see all this, and then on top of, in the background, you see all these enormous buildings. And just to see this line of buildings so far away, and then all these trees, I don't know, it just, to me, it gave me like a visual pleasure, because that's something I don't see very often in many cities, where usually you just see buildings and sometimes there's no trees. So that's something, and that is in the very close to the Imperial Palace. Like actually right here, you don't see it right now, but this is the beginning of the actual, I guess, the green areas of the Imperial Palace where the Emperor lives. So yeah, and all these buildings, I'm assuming they're like communicate. Well, they're communication towers. I don't know why they need this in these buildings, but as you can see, at least in 2013, they kept building. Like, look at this building in the horizon. Is it looks big already, and look, they have those two gigantic. What is it? I don't know what you call. I forgot the name for these things, but they're enormous, and they're still building that. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool, and it gave me, it was fun to just stand there and look at that. Let me go to the next one. Well, this is kind of like a close-up, but see, look at the trees. You can tell they take good care of those trees, and look, it looks green. Uh, the people are very respectful with their areas there, and you don't see very many people there. But I do know that some people go there to hang out, to like have lunch. But I guess at this moment it looks very very clean. You know. Let me just read the chat really quickly. Check Lion Board. Watch the YouTube tutorials. You can put. You can put. Oh really? Okay. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll look into it then. Thank you. I'm gonna keep it on the. Yes, I'll leave it in the chat, and then I'll read it again. Thank you. Yes, yes, Odemaris. Yes, those are my photos. I took those photos in 2013. I took that with my, I think that was with my iPhone, but I took other photos with my DSLR. But those are with my iPhone 5 that I had at the time. So yes. Um, why everyone travel? Elias, you know what? It's just cool, man. If like I said earlier, going to Japan is like going to another planet. Like, it's really out of, it blows your mind. At least for me. At least for me, it was like that, because everything that you do in Japan is new. It's the money, the food, the way people behave, the streets are different, the entertainment is so different. I have the belief that Japanese people, maybe Korean or Chinese too, but at least my experience is only with Japanese people. I think Japanese people think very differently compared to Western people. And when I say Western, I'm talking about people from America, the US, Canada, Mexico, and even Latin America, even though I haven't been in many places in Latin America. But I have a lot of friends from Brazil, from Ecuador, from Colombia, from Brazil that live here in Canada, and they share stories with me. Japan is like another planet. So I think if one day you have the chance to travel, if you feel like compelled to do it, I'd say go to Japan at least once. You know, give it a go. I think you'll like it. Um, and even though it might help to know Japanese, I'll tell you one thing. I've been there 3 times. I know very little Japanese. I did learn some things there. Like I remember I learned the simple stuff like greetings, like Ohayo gozaimasu, konbanwa, um, like sumimasen, toire wa doko desu ka? Um, just little stuff like that that I needed to know. Like for instance, toire wa doko desu ka means where's the bathroom? And believe me, the reason I memorized that is because I had to learn it. So I remember the two things that I learned was that, and also biru, because I wanted to have beer, Japanese beer, and obviously greetings like I said earlier, uh, konbanwa, ohayo gozaimasu. I learned how to say tomodachi. Tomodachi means friend, even though people don't call themselves friends, but they're friends. Um, what else? There were other things that I learned, and I had to learn them because I was there. And in Japan, no one will talk to you in any. Obviously, they're not gonna talk to you in Spanish. And Japanese don't really know English unless you're in the hotel or in tourist areas. So yeah. Um, also, so anyway, that's that with that photo. Let me see. Well, this is sort of the same area, I just thought it was very cool to see how clean it is, how many trees they had. They all look very well maintained. Look how big it is. Those are sakura. I think they say sakura trees or cherry blossoms. And this was after Golden Week, and so oh, I think that's what it is. That's why it's Golden Week. Is when the cherry blossoms, uh, obviously blossom. So people gather to see how they blossom. That's what it is. Yes, I'm correct. If anyone is Japanese here or anyone knows more about Japanese culture, please share it. But I think that's what it is. Golden Week is when the cherry blossoms blossom. And then here I have some photos of that. Um, I took the photo, but really the photo is not really showing how cool they look. But Japan is all about cherry blossoms. Like even people are called that, like sakura. They have TV shows, anime called that. So yeah, very cool. Oh, there's a few people there hanging out, as you can see. They might be Western. No, they're Japanese. Um, See, look at the buildings, enormous. Like, see the aerial perspective. Like, all the trees they have right here, very green and tall. And then you have these. I don't know what this is. It's not a river. I don't know what this is. It's just like a man-made container. And then you have these enormous buildings. And this is the financial area or the financial district in Japan. This is all about money and a lot of well, because there are so many American companies there. A lot of the American companies are here, so therefore there's a lot of American people living there, and British as well. Yeah. Well, that was a photo of a I think it's sashimi. I think it's sashimi that I had in Japan, and it was my first meal in Japan. I know this might not look like very interesting to you guys. To me, it has meaning because it was my first meal in Japan. So yeah. So that's what it is. I took the photo. Oh, okay. I actually, on my first trip, I went to Hiroshima, which is one of the cities that got bombed in World War II, and I took the bullet train, which they call Shinkansen. And so when I was actually on the train while traveling to Hiroshima, I actually got up. I went to the one of the bathrooms, and I saw this photo. Well, I saw this image, so I took a photo. And the funny thing is, it's funny how the iPhone takes a photo. See how it looks in an angle right here? That's because the phone, when you take a photo like this, um, I think when it takes a photo, it scans from bottom to top. So I think when I took the photo, like usually if you take a photo, you go like this, right? And you take the photo and it looks fine. But because I had it like this, uh, I think this because it was going so fast that when I took the photo and it scanned the image or scanned the landscape, it looks in an angle. So it's not that it looked like that because in real life it doesn't look like that. It just looks straight. But the phone took the photo that way because it was going super fast. I mean, super fast. I'm talking about like the Shinkansen or the bullet train can go up to 280 kilometers an hour, but that's the maximum. But it never goes that fast. Like I think the standard speed is 210, 220. So that was probably around 200 kilometers an hour. It looks very fast, but well, it is fast. It is pretty fast. I mean, it's faster than a car. So it's pretty amazing how fast it looks. Obviously, the photo doesn't really show that, but yeah. So I took that photo. And the photo is because I'm showing. I want to take a photo of the Fuji mountain, which is like I don't know, super far away. So okay, let me read the chat really quick. So you don't have proof, but you don't have doubts. Oh, you're asking Dark Mario. Okay. It is. You can say anything to it and okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I don't understand. Don't have doubts. Oh, okay. Zero, so you know the city of the game Olympics? What do you mean the city of the game, the Olympic Games? Well, I think it was in Tokyo. I think it was all going to be in Tokyo. I don't know if there were other cities where the Olympics were going to take place. Maybe. Yeah, I actually don't know. Mm-mm. Uh, so okay, let's go to the next photo. Okay, yeah. See, look at this. This is the cockpit of a bullet train, and luckily there's the photo of this guy. I guess he's the pilot, maybe. But see how big it is. And I remember when I took the photo, I could not fit it on the camera on the with the iPhone. Like even though the iPhone has a pretty wide lens, so usually if you take a photo, you get everything in front of you. But here, this thing was so big that I kind of walked all the way back until I hit a column, and I just could not fit the whole thing on the phone. But see how big it is, and look, it looks so aerodynamic. So this one is called Kyushu, West Japan. I don't know if Kyushu. I think Kyushu is a city, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's the name of the train. I'm not sure. But see how big it looks? It looks pretty badass. Yes, it is the bullet train. Like I said earlier, the bullet train in Japan, they call it Shinkansen. So, yes. Now, this is also downtown. And see how wide the sidewalks are? Like, they're pretty big. Like, even here in Canada, they're probably, if this is the building, there at the most would be probably like here. And there's no trees, there's no gardens, and here is like double the size, and then you still have more trees. So you have trees here on the left and on the side, and then you have this area where people can walk on. Well, okay, well, I was just taking photos there. Here, okay, so I took this photo because it says Roppongi Hill right here. So that's the where I was supposed to get off, and I think that's how they recognize the. I mean, that's the name for Westerners, for people that are not Japanese. They write that in, I guess in English or just Western letters, but it also switches to Japanese, and this also is the actual name of the station, HU4. Okay. So again, okay, so this is the garden of the Imperial Palace. Let's see, there's gonna be more. Well, I took this photo because I like the photo, but I have no idea what this means. I just like that this is like a doctor, and he's he's got a beer on one hand, and then this other guy has another beer in the hand. So I kind of took it as your doctor is prescribing to you to have a beer, I don't know, every day. And to me, that was funny. That's the story I created in my head. So that's why I took a photo of that. Again, more buildings. And see how different they look. This looks more modern than this one right here. This is a hotel. It's called Palace Hotel. Okay, well, it looks pretty big. So of course they have to be. There has to be. They need to have hotels there. Okay, so this is some more food that I took photos of. Um, I don't know if this is the same as the other place. Maybe it's the same place. So anyway, I like how colorful the photo came out, and it was delicious. It was in Japan, as you know, because it's a country that has no other countries around. Everything that they eat, aside from rice, is based on seafood. So, I mean, I'm sure they have cows and all that stuff, but I think their diet is mostly fish and rice. And I think they have gotten very creative when it comes to their food. So, yeah. Okay. I think these photos are kind of mixed. Oh, this is a panorama I took of the same area. I mean, I don't know if this shows how big it is, but yeah, it looks pretty big to me. Here, can I zoom in? Oh yeah, I can zoom in. Okay, cool. Oh wow, okay, cool, nice. All this is the Imperial Palace Garden. The Imperial Palace, I think is, well, that's one building. I don't know if that's the actual palace, because a lot of it is well guarded. They have a lot of walls, and also they have a lot of guards. And also here, I don't know if you can tell, this is one entrance, and I remember they did not let me in. The only way they let you in is first you have to have an appointment, and also if you are Japanese, I think you can only do it through one website, and then if you're a foreigner, you have to go through some checkup. Like I think they check your passport, and you have to do it like 1 or 2 months in advance if you want to visit the palace. So foreigners are allowed, but there's an inspection that they do to all of them, at least from that time that I went. Okay. Okay, that's the same thing. Okay, this, I think I took the photo because to me, this thing right here looked like an explosion. And it literally looked like that. Like, I don't know what it was. Everything looked too green. I don't know if it was pollution or something happened, but I was on the train and the sky looked like this. And I thought it was crazy, but it looked normal to them, so I figure everything is fine. So that was a very strange looking sky. Okay, this is another panorama of the uh, Tokyo station, and it was just cool, just to see the trains arriving and waiting for them. That's pretty cool. Okay, again, it's the same thing. Downtown Tokyo. Okay, let's see. I think here, I don't know why I took this photo. I guess because it's broccoli, and maybe the name, I thought it was a little. I had never seen a juice called that, but yes, I took the photo of that. Okay, downtown. Let's see. I don't want to bore you with so many photos of the same thing. Okay, well that's a photo of the sign, Tokyo sign. Those are salarymen. I don't know if you have heard of that in Japan, a lot of salarymen, they work a lot. Like they work like 10 to 11, 12 hours a day, and they don't pay overtime. And a lot of them, they're pretty much married to the company. Like they could spend 20, 30, 40 years working at the same company, and and that's how it is in those traditional Japanese companies. Now it's not the same with all the American companies that are there. It's more, I guess it's changing now. So let's say let's say you're working at McDonald's for 2, 3 years, and you want to work at Burger King, you can do that now. But back then, and also in these traditional companies, if you leave a company, it's almost like if you get like banned. Like it's very hard for anyone to get a job. It's like almost they don't trust you anymore. So apparently, it's very common for salarymen to just give their entire life to one company, and apparently this is still happening. Like for instance, there's a company called Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. They do trains, they do manufacturing, and also cars and engines, jet engines, and just engines in general for in different industries. They're very traditional from what I hear. Well, here I was also getting creative with the camera, just trying to get some angles there, trying to play with the space, have the sky here and in the center, and then the rest is kind of like just negative space. Just trying to be creative. Okay. Oh, those are these are rooms for smokers. It is not allowed for people that smoke to smoke in the street. So if they want to smoke, they have to go inside these rooms. So it's kind of like, it's almost like I would say an embarrassment room, because it's like they have to be in there to smoke, and they cannot get out, and then other people that don't smoke see them. It's like, oh, you guys are polluting, you guys are not very nice because you're smoking, right? It feels like that. I'm not saying that it is, but it just feels like that because they have to be in those places, but it's mandatory. And I actually, one time I walked into one of those. It smells pretty bad. It smells pretty bad. I didn't enjoy it. But they have those in Japan, yeah. But I don't think Japanese people care. I mean, they smoke anyway, so it's fine. I guess here I just like the sign. Let me read the chat really quick. Okay. Do. By the way, Zeros do was the streamer who finished Spider-Man story, and oh, really? Oh, so he finished it. Ah, cool. See, I feel bad because I'm probably the only one that hasn't finished Spider-Man. But I just played it. Like, I just got the game like 2 months ago. Well, very cool. If I have any questions, I'm gonna ask him for advice. But I think I'm doing okay. I like to think I'm doing all right. Okay. Oh, the one I told him about the theories, which is okay, very cool. To travel to Japan, it all depends on what kind of rules they might have in your country. I can tell you this: when I went to Japan, the first 2 times, because I was living in New Zealand, I was holding my Mexican passport. So even though at the time I was already living here in Canada, I already had my Canadian residency. But residency does not mean that you have a passport. So when I went there, I went with a Mexican passport, and yes, all I needed was a passport. There was no need for a visa. Like if you want to go to the US as a Mexican citizen, you need a visa. So it's the passport plus the visa. Here in Canada, I think you only need a passport. To Japan, at least from I know, you only need a passport, and that's it. Now from Ecuador, it would be a matter of just searching on the internet. If just I guess Google, do you need a pass? Do you need what do you need to go to Japan from Ecuador? And it might probably tell you, but I would think for sure just the passport, from what I understand. Okay, let's see. Portador, how are you, my friend? Thanks for coming by. I was gonna play today, but then I started thinking, well, why just do just chatting and talk about Japan? And because I've been there, I thought, you know what? Might as well just show some photos. And I know what I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you some time lapses I did in Japan. I'm gonna show you that in a second. Yes. I hope you likes. I hope you guys like time lapse photography. When I was in Japan, and even before that, I had my DSLR, a Canon camera, and I learned how to take, well, obviously videos, but also time lapses. And I spent 2 years doing time lapse photography. So I went to Texas, and obviously here in Canada, I went to a few places in New Zealand and in Japan. So the video I'm gonna show to you in a few minutes is just time lapses that I did in those 4 countries: New Zealand, Japan, well, Texas. Well, Texas is not a country; it's a state. But that's the only place I went at the time. So they're all there, and Canada. So and New Zealand. So I'll show you that. I'll show you guys in a second. So okay. Mm-mm. Oh my God, you're such a show off. But I'm proud of you, man. So you got platinum. You got platinum on Spider-Man. That is cool, man. I hope I can do that too. I've heard at least of three other people that have platinum on Spider-Man. I would not doubt that Fly Mighty B also has platinum on that game. Oh well, that's a lot of pressure for me, but I'll try to do that. I promise. I'll try. I don't know if I can do it, but I'll try. Um, okay, let's see. Is in New Zealand? Oh yes, yes. It was in New Zealand where I work in The Hobbit. Uh, for those movies and also the Lord of the Rings, all the work was done in New Zealand. There was no outsourcing. Not like now. Like now, there's a lot of outsourcing. For instance, right now, I can tell you that there's a lot of movies that even though they're shot in the U.S. or in the U.K. Like for instance, I'll give an example. Star Wars. All their Star Wars movies are shot in London. It's like a tradition. However, the visual effects were done some here in Vancouver, some other shots were done in San Francisco, and maybe obviously a big chunk of the work was done in London as well. Uh, so yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, everything is outsourced now. But for The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, everything was in-house, which means it was all done in New Zealand. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, it's funny how you could get a Spidey 100% and then they released the DLC and you still have. Yeah, that's how they make money. Yes. Mm. Oh yes, yeah, I told you, Fly Mighty V got it off. Of course. Oh man, see that's pressure for me. I'm gonna try to do that. Yeah, get a platinum on Spider-Man. Okay, so I don't know what this is. Let's see. Oh, I see. Oh, that's the end of it. Okay. Let me see. I must have more photos. Oh, yes. Okay, I'll show you this. This is the Kiyomisudera Temple in Kyoto. That's right, Kyoto. Kyoto is amazing. Kyoto is a really cool place that if you guys go to Japan, Kyoto used to be the capital of Japan before Tokyo. So Kyoto was like, I think it was in the Edo period when the samurais and the ninjas and all those, well, I don't know if ninjas were real, but samurais were real. And and that's where at that time Kyoto was the capital. But then later, I don't know the story. I knew it. I would probably read again about it to let you know. But then later on, some emperor decided to move the capital from Kyoto to Tokyo. So now Kyoto is just popular for its temples, very old school temples that are well maintained. So this is some photos that I took there, and I wish I could remember what all these meant, but I could just show you the photos. That area right there, that's the way up to get up to the temple. And as you can see, there's always people going there. Like here, it's not just tourists, but also Japanese people and schools. Like they bring the students to sort of show them around and educate them about the history of the temples. And all these are just obviously stores that sell stuff to the tourist. But look how pretty, like the sky, the trees, and well, there's even a lens flare here. I guess I just got lucky. But yeah, it looks very cool. Very cool. Very nice photo. I like it. And this again, the temple, and this is just the beginning to get up there. I'm trying to remember if there was anything. Um, well, here I guess the highlight is just the horizon, to see the sky, see the city from above. Yeah, very cool. I forget. There's a meaning for the red on the actual structure, but I forget. A lot of this stuff is wooden made. It's just wood. I don't think they might have other stuff now just to maintain it, like maybe some metal structures. But see, it looks it looks enormous. It's gigantic. It's very big, and you can see this in even in video games. Like they still have these structures, and they look pretty badass. Very pretty stuff. Oh, this is another thing that you can actually do. People, if you're a student or a foreigner, you can rent traditional Japanese suits and you can put them on and go to the temples. And that's what these two girls were doing. They just rented it and then you can put them on and go. And the same thing for guys. This is something that people do to sort of if I remember, they to refresh themselves and to say thanks. It's like there's even a protocol. Like you have like there's like a big spoon that you have to hold with your I think it's your left hand, and then you can drink it. Then you have to clean it, and then you have to put it in the same position you took it, and it's just for respect for the temple and to the people that are after you. And it's very interesting, yeah, and a lot of people do that all the time. I did it too. They taught me how to do the actual I guess the process to drink the water. And it's just incense. Oh, and I love this photo. I think this photo, man, I don't think I need to say anything. It just to me looks very monumental, how big the temple looks. And then you see Kyoto in the background, and then you also see sort of God rays, the sky and the sun. And this little tower right here, that's the Tokyo Tower. That's where the bullet train station is, or the it has a name. It's called. It's not Shinkansen. It's well, that's the train, but it's called the. Oh, what is it called? I forget. I'll once I remember, I'll let you know. And again, just more photos that I took. Oh, this is I could not help myself. I was so hungry and thirsty. I bought one of these. It's I guess it's just like ice with flavor, and it was delicious. It was delicious, and see like it was very big. I think it cost me like 300 yen, which is like $3 US. And it was just delicious. It was just I think I had like two because I was very hungry and thirsty. I think I was more thirsty than hungry, but yeah. Okay, let me just very nice. Well, a lot of these photos I took with the iPhone 5. So it's funny. I think the cameras are better now, but I don't think that. I think the photos came out alright. Okay, so let's see the next. Oh, okay. Right next to the temple, there was a cemetery, and I took this photo because I was kind of very surprised to see. First of all, it's very different from the cemeteries here in North America, or just here in America in general, because usually, if you're like most of North America is very Christian or Catholic, if you like to say, and usually in cemeteries you just have a cross, right? In America, I think in the U.S. they have white crosses, but in Mexico and South America they have different shapes for crosses or just like blocks to sort of show respect and to remember the person. But here they have these I don't know what it's called, but it's like columns and they're one on top of the other, and it looks all put together like there's no space, because I actually don't know if maybe they cremate or they burn the body and then they put the ashes there, but it looks very cramped if you ask me. But I didn't have I couldn't ask anyone because no one spoke English there or Spanish, So I actually don't know, but I did walk in that area. I was not scared, but I was just curious. So I did walk a lot. And some people go through that just to get to the other side of the green area. So it's almost like a public aisle where people can just walk through. And there's some god rays. I guess, yeah, I like this photo just because the background makes it look a little better. You know, to see god rays here through the clouds and the sun right up here. Yeah. And this is when I was actually going back, so it doesn't look as epic. That's right, raspado. That's what it is. But I forgot the name in English. I guess it's raspado. I guess just ice. I'm sure that there's a name. Maybe some of you guys, maybe Fly Mighty B could tell us what it's called in English. Oh, and this one too. Yeah, that's why I took it, because of the god rays. That was pretty cool. Looks pretty badass, if you ask me. Okay, that's the end of that. So let's see. Let's go to another one. Nyoyo Castle. This is also in Kyoto. Let's see. How do you pronounce that? Higashiotemon. No. I think the H is in Japanese is like he. Because in Spanish it's silent, but Higashiotemon Gate. I think. I'm not sure. But that's the name of the actual the gate, the door. And so again, look at the trees. They look very traditional Japanese trees. By the way, that reminds me. Have you guys seen the movie The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise? I hope you guys have. That is one of my favorite movies. And I'll tell you a story. And I only know this because people in New Zealand told me about this. Obviously, The Last Samurai, it's a Japanese story. It's supposed to take place in Japan, and I didn't know this until I talked to Japanese people. The whole movie was shot in New Zealand. Why? Is because the director is from New Zealand, so he decided that he wanted to do the entire film there. Why? I don't know. I guess that's sometimes the power that directors have. They can choose where they want to shoot, just like Peter Jackson, that he wants to shoot The Hobbit or King Kong or Lord of the Rings in New Zealand, right? But obviously, in the case of those movies, it fits the movie because everything is epic, right? Like it's in the forest, it's in the mountains, it's in nature, right? But The Last Samurai is interesting because my Japanese friends that I met in New Zealand told me when we saw the movie, we liked it, but we could not believe that that was in Japan because the trees in the movie, they're Kiwi trees, like they were not Japanese trees. So if you watch the movie, if you watch The Last Samurai, just if you remember, just take a look at the trees. They don't look like these trees. So it was just interesting that they said to me, especially where I live in Japan, in New Zealand, the couple that rented to me the apartment where I lived, he was from New Zealand. He was a white guy, and he was married to a Japanese woman, and they were the ones that told me about the movie that they were shot in New Zealand. And then the Japanese lady said to me, I thought it was funny that for me it was very hard to get into the story because in the whole movie they keep telling you that it's in Japan, but I can tell it's not Japan because the trees are not Japanese. They're New Zealand trees, and we don't have those trees in Japan. So now when they told me that and I watched the movie, I was always looking at the trees too. But anyway, that movie is pretty cool. If you have not seen it, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know, maybe because I'm a guy, I usually don't cry in movies. Like I'm usually like, if even if I see something that is very intense, I'm like, oh, I go, oh. But I think The Last Samurai, that's probably the one movie where I actually cried at the end. I was like, oh yeah, and I was with my sister. I was with my sister. My sister was next to me. I was like, okay, I don't want her to see. So I was like this, and I was like this, and I was just like trying to see it. Like I didn't want her to see me. because she was like right there eating popcorn. I don't think she cried. I don't think she cared for that, but I did cry because it really hit me. I guess it's because I think The Last Samurai is a guy movie. I don't think it's not like a romantic comedy where girls sometimes watch that and they cry, maybe. But this one was different because, in my impression, without spoiling the movie to you, the movie was about honor. It's about honor and keeping your word and keeping the promises that you say that you're gonna do or that you're gonna keep. And I think that's why it kind of hit me. So if you have not seen it, check it out. And and that movie came out, I think, at the pretty much around the same time that the last Lord of the Rings movie came out. And I think a lot of people didn't appreciate it because those two movies came out at the same time and people were more into Lord of the Rings. It was like the hype, like, oh, it's the Lord of the Rings, right? We have to go see that. And The Last Samurai is pretty epic, but it doesn't have visual effects. Like the battles, they're just no, they're real battles, but they're not computer generated. They're not digitally enhanced. It might have some visual effects, but not like Lord of the Rings. So, and the music is pretty badass. I actually have it on my phone. I listen to it. It's really cool. So anyway, check it out. I hope you guys have the chance if you haven't not seen it. Okay. Oh no, someone left. Who was this? I missed it. I missed it. Okay, let me check the chat really quick. They got their weapons taken away in the field of time, so they made improvised weapons too. Okay, there you go. Why that picture is beautiful. Oh, because I like it. I don't know which picture you're referring to. Maybe it was the one with the God rays. I like those photos because they had God rays, and I like photos that show aerial perspective, which means that you have a foreground, background, and middle ground, and foreground. And when you have those three elements, and you see different things happening in those three layers, if you want to call them that, I find that very interesting, and I think they're cool photos. And that's something that a lot of directors want to do in movies sometimes. But when I see photos that have that, let me see if I can go back to see like this. To me, this photo looks flat. I like the photo because it's the gate and it shows the entrance and it looks how big it looks, but it looks flat to me. But if I go back to let me go back to the ones that are uh, this photo right here. Like this has foreground. I'm sorry, foreground is this. Foreground, middle ground, and then background. And I see a lot of things happening here. Like I see the sky clearly, I see the sun, and I see a little bit of God rays. I see the horizon, like the mountains, and that kind of tells me a story right there. Like you see a little bit of haze, you see how far you can tell how far you are from that, and then you see here the city. And this is the what I was talking about in the other photos, that I like the harmony that sometimes I think I see reflected in Japan, where you see a harmony between nature, green areas, and the city. And I see here nature, then the city, and then more nature. And then you see this enormous, gigantic, monumental construction or monument. And then you see people, and you can tell, because we know how big or how tall people are, we can see how big this thing is. So to me, this photo is what I call monumental. Like it's big, like it shows a lot of stuff. So that's why I like those photos. I hope that makes sense. But that's very personal, right? I mean, other people might think, oh, who cares, right? But compared to this photo right here, I mean, I do have a background, I do have a foreground, and I have a middle ground. But to me, it looks boring. To me, it looks flat. I mean, I like the colors and I like the green, but to me, it looks boring. I could spend more time looking at this than this. But that's again my personal opinion. Okay, so now let's see. Oh, okay. So if you like World War II, you might like this. Okay, so this. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little bit of background here. And you know what too? I might need to show you on the map as well. So let me just open. Let me just go here. Uh, Hiro, Hiroshima map. Okay, so okay. I'm gonna zoom out a little. Okay, so this is Japan, right? During World War II, I'm gonna zoom out more. During World War II, as you know, Japan got bombed twice. Uh, one bomb, atomic bomb, I should say, was in Hiroshima, which is right here, and the other one was in Nagasaki, right here. And I think it was like 3 days difference in between. Well, in Hiroshima, Tokyo is like right here. So I took the sky train. I'm sorry, the bullet train, and it took me 3 hours to go through all these, go through Osaka, and get to Hiroshima. So now I'm gonna zoom in Hiroshima. Okay. So this is Hiroshima. This is where the first atomic bomb was dropped. And as you can see, that's a monument right there. That's the atomic bomb dome. The reason is called that, or the reason is still there, is because that is the only building remaining from the bombing. Like everything else was destroyed, but that was the only one that survived, or that is still standing, and the bomb exploded like right there, like maybe 30 meters above from that, and it's just, I guess it was just, I don't know, I guess just destiny that that building was the only one that didn't collapse after having the bomb explode like right there. So anyway, so that's Hiroshima, and the photos I'm about to show you are from this area right here. That's Yamato Museum, Kure Maritime Museum right here. So from here to here is only like a 20-minute ride. We was actually a train. I took the train from here to here, and in that place they have the museum of the very famous Yamato warship. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Yamato. Actually, Yamato. Oops, sorry for my spelling. Yamato warship. Okay. So this is a Yamato. Let me see if I can get some images here. This was one of the biggest Japanese battleships that they had during World War II. Like, it was gigantic. It was so big. And when the Japanese were about to lose the war, they went on a what do you call this? When they're about to commit suicide, kamikaze, I think it's called kamikaze mission. They knew that the Americans were going to invade Japan. Like, they knew it was imminent. Like they knew it was going to happen, but they needed time. They needed more time. So the suicide mission was to send the Yamato into war with some other ships. And this ship, I'm not gonna spoil it for you if you want to read about it. It got sank, and there's some really cool. I think there's still footage on the internet where they have the. I think it's the. I forgot the name of the plane. The Mustangs. They have Mustangs flying, diving into the plane, into the ship, and try to bomb it. And there's I don't think there's very many film or footage of that, but you can see that on documentaries. But it was enormous. It was very big. It eventually got sank, and it's kind of like the Titanic. It got broken into several pieces, and it's somewhere in the Pacific. So this oh, there's a better one here. Okay. It was pretty big. So anyway, this place that I went to is the actual museum. That's where they hold it. And if you like anime, you might know that there's an actual anime called Yamato. What is it called? Yamato, the spaceship? and I think it was sort of a way to honor the original Yamato. I remember as a kid, I remember seeing that Yamato anime. Let me see, Yamato. Well, Yamato. Uh, I think it's anime. Let me see if I can find anime. It'll be easier for me to. A spaceship, a space battleship Yamato. So you might remember this. This is like 80s. No, I think this was probably 70s, but I discovered this like in the early 90s because that's when I saw it on VHS tapes. So anyway, I mean that's how I knew. But yeah, as you can tell, this looks like an actual ship, but it's in space. Okay, so I went there, and I went to this museum that I was just telling you about. Wait a minute, didn't I just open it? Oh, it's this one. Okay, there we go. And here, I saw this submarine, and I thought it was pretty cool. This is part of the Yamato Museum, but when I saw this is something I hadn't seen. Even maybe in the U.S., I'm sure you guys probably have this. I definitely in Mexico we don't have this. Mexico was never in a big war, and I don't think they never had them. Maybe they have submarines. I really don't know. But to see this, an atomic submarine in a museum, I was like blown away. I was like, wow, that is really cool. I thought it was amazing. So I mean, and here because you have the cars, and maybe there's a few people here, you can tell how big this was, or how big it is. So I took some photos of it, and I actually got to walk inside. And this was done or built by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries in Japan. So this is the company I was telling you before. That is a very traditional Japanese company that still exists right now. They make engines. I think they make airplane engines, and also the engines that for those things that they have for those big rotor things that I think they used to produce electricity. I forget the name of those, but yeah, they do that too. So I don't know. I thought it was amazing to see a real submarine in this place. I mean, I don't know if this shows how big it is, but and I'm sure like you see these numbers right here. I guess they're just measurements for I guess how high the water or the ocean is when this thing is on the surface. I'm sure any of you guys know about military stuff. You probably know better than me, but yeah, I thought it was really cool. And this is inside. So I'm gonna stop here just to read the chat, but I'm gonna leave that photo for you guys. Look at all those controls, man. Like I guess you really need to be an expert to know each one of those things, to read all those different gauges and understand what those things do. Oof. Okay. Last Samurai was an amazing photo. Yes, it is a great photo, a great movie, Fly Mighty B. I'm glad that you've seen it. So, see you later. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he left. Okay. Do you want to know a fun fact about samurai? Oh, yes, please, Fly Mighty B. Maybe you already shared it here. I'll read it in a second. You can tell if a family are descendants of a samurai because only samurai families were allowed to have weapons in their family crest. So if you look at a crest and you see weapons, what their ancestors were. Oh, wow. I don't think anyone. I don't know any Japanese that actually has that. I'm gonna have to ask around. That's pretty cool. That is cool. That is very cool. Thanks for sharing, Fly Mighty B. That's pretty cool, man. Thanks for sharing. I'm glad that you're sharing that stuff because that's stuff I don't know, and I'm glad we're here. We are here to share things, so that's pretty cool. Thank you, Fly Mighty B. So okay, so look at this. Also, I also took the photo because I really like this little illustration. That's like a really cute submarine. I'm sure that means something for whoever is maintaining that relic. But and look at this, like you actually needed two people to what do you call this? To fly, to drive, to maneuver this submarine. Like there's no windshield, right? So you have just these controls, and that's the only way for you to know where you're going. I'm assuming that's a screen that shows some lights. It almost, I mean, this looks like an Atari game, but obviously I don't want to disrespect it by saying that. I mean, I'm sure this probably did something. I mean, we're talking about like this was probably the 60s, 70s, but it looks pretty cool nonetheless. And obviously you have to be an expert to control and to know the meaning of all these different controls. That's the seat. I'm assuming that's leather. It doesn't look very comfortable, but wow. So yeah, and obviously that's the periscope. It looks pretty big too. I guess I was waiting for my turn to be able to see through it. I don't remember if I saw anything, but there were other people there also checking it out. So that's cool. Oh, this is a radar or a sonar. Is it radar or sonar? Or I think it's the same thing, right? I could be wrong. I'm not a military expert, so I have no idea. But I mean, you can tell by looking at this photo, that looks very old school in terms of like how that's what radars or yeah, I guess the radars used to look like. Like this line would just rotate around, and then every time it passed through some kind of object, it would show you where it was located. And I guess you can see it right here. I guess I'm assuming those things are targets or enemies or whatever. Um, See, well, I don't know if this is something they added later, but there's a lot of bright colors here. You know, maybe that's a Japanese thing only. Anyway, so see, they have all these different things here. Well, this doesn't look that old. This and this, they look pretty new. It looks from like, actually, this looks like out of Star Wars. But this looks like very 60s, 70s, I would think. But no, this looks pretty new. Well, not newer. Because definitely it doesn't look like 2000s. Oh, okay. This is cool. This is an actual replica of the Yamato, but this is obviously in scale. Like this is tiny compared to the actual battleship. And you can tell just by looking at the people here, and you can tell also here. Maybe let's see. There has to be something, some reference to see. I'm assuming. See, if you look at these fences, that would be like probably half of a person. So maybe a person would be from here to here. So that would be how tall a person would be. And so I guess that would just to show you a reference how big this thing used to be. And it has the Japanese flag here, and I think this is the Japanese army symbol, but I could be wrong. I used to know. Sorry, I forget. It's been a long time since the last time I revisited these photos. But look, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 big cannons, and then there's another 1, 2, 3 here, and then more artillery right here on the sides, and then let's see if there's another photo. Well, this is the front. Looks pretty cool. Okay, so check it out. This is probably a Zero fighter. I think that's what they were called. Zero fighters. They're they're planes. But see, I think that's how they used to like push them. Like they would put them here, and then through some kind of a system, it would just pull the airplane, so it would just take it into the air to fly. But see, I mean, here you can tell if a person would need to be this big, like probably the size of the cursor to fit in the plane. You can tell how big this was at the time, right? Obviously, if you look at the cruises right now, the ones that go from Miami to Alaska, they're obviously a lot bigger than this, right? They're like buildings. But at the time, to build something like this and it's just pure metal, I don't know. I find it's really interesting. So yeah. Oh, look, there's a person right here. Well, a little doll. So you can tell that's how big. So in perspective, you know, you can see the actual the scale of how big this was. And this was the biggest the Imperial Japanese fleet had or was. So pretty cool. Oh, you could also go down here. Oh wow. That's cool. Oh, and you know what? Here in this area, the thing is, they had an actual maquette of the wreckage of where the ship was, but they did not let me take photos. In some museums in Japan, they don't let you take photos, and I was very bummed about that. I was like, oh man, there's some really cool stuff, but out of respect, I didn't take photos. I know some people cheated; they took photos anyway, but I didn't. Uh, but yeah, in some museums they just don't let you take photos. Okay, see, look at that. This is pretty cool, man. This reminds me of the Star Destroyers in Star Wars, like the cannons above the just the upper area. I guess they kind of look like this, no? Not like this, but like this bottom part. I mean, cannons are cannons, right? So they all look like the same. Um, it's a sonar. Okay, cool. Thank you for that, Mighty B. Yeah, sonar. Yeah. Oh, the radar doesn't work in the water because water messes up the waves. Okay, thank you, Fly Mighty B. So it is a sonar, and the radar is the ones that they have on the airport, right? For planes, airplanes. Okay, cool. Thank you. Very cool. So you took marine biology. Very nice. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Fly Mighty B. Thanks for sharing that. And let's see what else I got here. Well, I have more photos of the. Wow, this is pretty cool, man. Look at these cannons, and of course, these probably rotated. I don't know the actual angle, like how far they could rotate, but I'm sure they had a limit. But see, it looks enormous. See, like that's a person, and this is a cannon. Like Jesus Christ! Wow, that's so big. Oh, look at this! I did take a photo. Okay, then I lied. I did take a I did take a photo. Okay, so check it out. This reminds me of when in that movie, the Titanic, uh, they also had something like this. Uh, I don't think the Titanic was as big as this because the Titanic was before. The Titanic got sank or destroyed, whatever, in 1912, and this was in 1945. So it was at least 20 something years later, 30 years later. But that's what the wreckage looks like of the Yamato. Oh, there's another good movie that you should check out. It's two movies that Clint Eastwood made, and they're about the two sides of the war. One is called Letters of Iwo Jima, I think, and the other has a name, and I remember one is blue and the other one is brown, I think. You know what? Oh man, it's gonna be hard for me to find. Okay, give me a second. Let me see if I can find it. Well, I couldn't find it, but I did find other stuff that I want to share with you. If you like to know more about this stuff, World War II, especially the war in the Pacific and in Europe, you should check out this. It's called The World at War. Oh man, this is one is really cool. It's done by the I think it's British, might be the BBC. I'm not sure, but this one is really cool. And what I like of this documentary is that all the footage they show is real. Like whenever they say this bombing took place in Nuremberg, it's actually the footage they show is actually that. And when there isn't, there's actually some parts where they at the time, because they sometimes there were battles that where they didn't have a film crew to shoot that because they knew how important it was to document that sometimes they would fake it, like they would actually do miniatures and do like explosions like in movies. And even the documentary tells you this footage you're seeing is fake at the time because they didn't have time or people to shoot the real battle. In order to create newsreels to show to people, they actually reenacted, like they just they did it like visual effects, right? Just to show to people, and it tells you that. So it's really cool. This is one that is really cool that you should check out. Okay, now these two are actually pretty cool. This one you probably know, Band of Brothers. This is the HBO documentary. This one, man, it's badass. It's really badass. You should really check it out. I saw it and I watched it so many times. This is very emotional. Like this type of stuff is like it gets me very. It's very emotional. Well, for I think for anyone, right? But when they did this well, I guess this what is it? Series. It focuses mostly on the battle in Europe. And when this happened, all the war veterans from the Pacific, they were like, wait a minute, we also have a story. It was not just them. We fought the Japanese. We fought also a war, and we suffer. So that's when they decided to make this other one called the Pacific. So and I bought him on Blu-ray because, well, it's just because it's better, right? It looks better. So anyway, definitely these two, if you have not seen them, I highly recommend that you should check them out. I don't think, you know what, you can correct me, but I don't think you'll find these on Amazon Prime or Netflix or on any other streaming service. These are This is like golden nuggets. These are hard to find. So if you can find them on Blu-ray, I highly recommend check them out. And if you like storytelling, like I think whoever did the actual screenwriting, they did a pretty good job telling the story. So anyway, so check it out. That's it. That's my golden nuggets from this conversation. So anyway, so that's that. And they talk about the Yamato in one of these. So yeah, that's why I remember. And this is the Zero Fighter. This was really cool. I don't know, maybe you guys, obviously this is like way before we were born, right? Like this was in the 1940s. But if you start watching this stuff, you start seeing what guys used to like back then. Like right now, a lot of people like they like Audis, or they like Teslas, or they like what else? Like BMWs, right? That's like the sports car that we have right now, right? But back then, kids used to geek out about the planes. So this is the F-Zero, the Zero Fighter. This is the Japanese plane, and it was built by Japanese to do war. And then the Americans had the Mustang, which is also a really cool machine. And the British had the Spitfire. And there's some really cool stories about the Spitfire that you can find on YouTube. So it's very interesting to see how people like would be probably my grandfather or even Fly Mighty B's grandparents. They probably, when they were kids, they were geeking out about these planes because they were single, like one person one pilot planes, and man, they were just dogfights. Like I mean, obviously it's different, right? Like right now we have jet fighters, and it's different. You know, it's like they're more powerful. But back then it was just piston engines. And if you have the chance, and also this is you might be interested in this. A lot of the footage, a lot of the stuff or the battles that you see on Star Wars, especially the first trilogy, a lot of them were based on real World War II footage that George Lucas got from somewhere, and he just copied. He copied how they shot those World War II fights or dogfights, and he tried to translate that into Star Wars back in the 70s when he made Star Wars. Anyway, I think I'm detouring for what I want to tell you. But anyway, it's just as I'm telling you these stories, I remember things. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. Okay, let me just read really quickly. Yes, Primary B is very intense. Like remember I was saying that I cried with the Last Samurai. This makes you cry too. It's like this is drama for men. It's tough. Like it's tough. Like I think newer generations, especially us that we didn't really live that, we forget about this stuff. We don't know. Like we don't know. We need someone to tell us, right? And when you watch this, you go, man, they had it tough. There's a very interesting article that I read 6 years ago. It's been a while, and it talks about how different men are now compared to like 50 years ago. And one thing that the article says is that men back then, like in the 40s, 50s, 60s, there were men that had no childhood. That there were men that they were kids, that they were 10, 12 years old, and even though they wanted to go have fun and play like play soccer or whatever, they couldn't do it because they had to become men. They had to become adults. They had to go get a gun and protect their family, and 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 that's how it had to be. You had to survive, especially in Europe, and a lot of those men, they grew up without childhood. Like they didn't know what it was like to be a kid. They just became men too soon, too fast, and they it explains that right now younger generations, because obviously we don't have that. Thank God we don't have wars like that anymore. Uh, we are more into like what we're doing right now, like playing with the phone, playing video games. Obviously technology is different, right? But we have become we don't know that. Like some of us, the article says that some adults they're still kids. Like they could be 50 or 40, and they're still playing games, right? Whereas back then you couldn't do that, and and that's what the article kind of just it doesn't criticize. It just talks about how different men are, or I should say generations, both men and women, how different we are compared to like older generations. And I think a good way to sort of revisit that is to watch this. So if you're interested, you know. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see. So anyway, that's the Zero Fighter, which is pretty cool. And there's a very cool. Now reminds me, there's a very cool anime that is the story. It's a Studio Ghibli anime or a Studio Ghibli movie. Hold on. It's a Ghibli movie that talks about the Zero Fighter. Let me see if I can find it. Studio Ghibli Zero Fighter story. It's called, yes, this one, The Wind Rises. I saw this in Japan. I think it was 2013. I saw it. I saw there. I did not understand. 100. I didn't understand anything because I don't know Japanese. But I just watched it, and just to watch a big Ghibli movie in a movie theater, it was cool. It was pretty cool. So anyway, let's see. I'll show you this, in case you have not seen it. Okay. Well, you kind of got the idea of this animation.
Grammarly helps make your writing.
Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so let me just go back to this. Um, so let me just read the chat. Yeah, I'm reading Hitler's Furnaces from. You know what? I haven't read that book, but my sister read it, and it's very intense. And I'll tell you something, Dianora Prieto. I went to in 2014. I went to. Have you seen that movie Schindler's List? Well, I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Well, I went to Schindler's factory in Poland. In 2014, it was the 70th anniversary of D-Day, and I went to Normandy, and because I wanted to see, just to get us, just to be, I guess, geographically in the areas where all these things happen. I was always very puzzled after watching these movies, all this stuff. I kind of thought, okay, it must have been very claustrophobic to be in Europe at that time because you were having these conflicts in different countries, right? You have Germany that is starting the war, then you have Poland right next to it, and you have France, and you have Austria, and they have London that is trying to do the right thing and trying to sort of stop Hitler, and then the rest of Europe that is at the mercy of Hitler, and he, Europe is very small, and to be there and to see how close Germany, or should I say cities like Berlin, Nuremberg, what is it, Warsaw, or Paris, just to see how close they are, makes you really wonder. It's like, man, if I live there, it's like you have no way to run to. Like, I mean, if you're French and they invade you, like you have nowhere to go. And the same thing with Poland. And I'm gonna show you some photos if there's time about that. Let me just finish this about. But my point about this is, if you have the chance to watch this movie, The Wind Rises, it's it got a lot of criticism because it's the story about the guy that created the Zero Fighter, and some people said, well, the Imperial Japanese were bad people, and I mean, yes, you could say that, but the movie is not about how bad the Imperial forces were. It's only the story about a guy that was assigned to create a plane that obviously got used for war, but it's the story of him, how he sort of became this, he was an engineer, and how he created it, and sort of the things that happen around him. Obviously, it's an anime, right? So I'm assuming it's just based on it. I don't think it's like real, but it's a cool story to watch. So if you have the chance and you're open to those ideas, I invite you to check it out. You might like it. Okay, so let me tell you about this. This is a little submarine, but they had a name. These were like coffins. These were for kamikaze Japanese soldiers. So basically, what they explained to me is that these were single man submarines, and basically what they had to do is that the Japanese soldier, had to go inside and manually dive the submarine. I don't know if that's correct to say, or drive the submarine, and sort of ram the enemy, and basically they would just die because this tip is explosives, and they used to build this just for kamikaze soldiers to go get killed. And man, just to think about it, man, it's man, it's tough. Just to think that you have to give your life for your country, and you have to die and leave your family, and you have to do it for the good of the country. I don't know. That's things that's the stuff that we don't think about these days. But anyway, that's what these were. And this is a little miniature of the Zero Fighter. I mean, it's just cute, right? You can see it's tiny. You can see here the engines, the pistons, the fans, and I guess how they built it, how it was built. I'm assuming it's aluminum. Oh, this photo. If you remember before, I told you that this museum is in a city called Kure City, which is 20 minutes away from Hiroshima. Well, this photo was taken from Kure City when the Hiroshima explosion happened. So this is basically an atomic bomb explosion. That's Hiroshima behind those hills. And this photo was taken from Kure City, which is here. So this photo was taken here, and the bombing was here. And let me just show you the photo so you sort of. So that's the T. This is the area where when they dropped the bomb, they were looking for this river. So this was the spot where once they saw this, like that's it. That's the spot to drop the bomb. And this is the atomic bomb dome. Let me see if I can get into click the photo. So yeah, that's the dome. That's what it looks like right now. Well, I don't know. Maybe this photo is it's a couple of years old, but still looks the same. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's go back to this. So that's the explosion. I don't know what these little tiny bubbles are. I don't know. Maybe it's an imperfection of the lens, or maybe it was taken behind some glass, possibly. Now this is a photo of the imperial flag. So it's just like the Japanese flag, but it has these lines that symbolizes the sun, the rising sun. And I think they still have it. The military forces, they still have it, I believe. But this is the imperial flag that they used during World War II. And as you can see, well, it's all in Japanese. I could not understand anything. Maybe there were some things in English, but for the most part, it was in Japanese. I think this is still inside the submarine, I believe, or not. I don't know what this is. It's out of context now. This is another photo of the submarine that I was telling you right before. And I think that's it. That's the last photo. Okay. Now, this is for you, Dianora Prieto, that you were saying that you read Hitler's Furnaces. I went to the okay, I need to be very respectful with this. These are photos that I took on Auschwitz in Poland. This is one of the concentration camps in okay, I'm just trying to lower the volume here. This is one of the concentration camps in Poland. This is where this is very close to the Schindler's Factory, where the movie later on was shot, or at least they gives the illusion that it was shot there. But I took these photos there, and as you can see here in the date, it was 19 June. Well, I think it was before that. I think I went there. D-Day was when? I think it was at it was the 5th of June. It was the first week of June, I believe. But I think I posted these photos like maybe a week after I took them. But yeah, so this is it. Okay, so I have some titles there. Entrance to Auschwitz. And apparently what it says right here, it says hard work will set you free. So this is what they wanted, the Nazi Germans. They wanted the Jews to read every time they walked through this gate. Basically said, hard work will set you free. So basically they were brainwashing them, telling them that if they work hard, they will be free. But obviously we all know what that meant, right? I guess to them free meant to not exist anymore. But yeah, so that's what that means. Okay. So this place was big. This is pretty big. It's very emotional to see this because, as you can see, this is a place where they kept human beings. They kept them divided. As you can see, these fences were electrified. So you can just imagine how horrible it was to be there. And also, well, as you can tell, I got a little creative with the photos. I kind of desaturated them and just kind of added a very, what I thought, very sad look or depressing look. Uh, but these are photos that I took inside some of these buildings where some people were kept alive, where there were actually some areas where it's almost like five-star hotels. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but they were a little nicer compared to other ones. Like this is where they kept some people that I guess were rich, that they thought that they just could keep them in nicer areas. And some of these were offices also for Nazi soldiers. Oh Lord. Okay. These are the cans of the, I think it was called the orange. No, no, it's not orange. But basically the gas that the powder that they used to kill the Jews when they put them in these rooms. So basically that's it. That's what is this is those cans had that, I guess, poison, and they used to get this. The Nazis, they would just open one lid from the top, and then they would just drop it through a pipe on the ceiling, and then once it goes into contact with the air, it just kind of like sparses, like it just kind of starts to spread throughout the room, and if you breathe it, it's just a slow death. And these cans are just the remains of what is left of that. And that's why, as you can tell, I mean, we don't need to translate that, but just by looking at that symbol right there, you can tell. um, well, halt. I think halt means stop. I don't know German, but I believe that that's what it means. I think they executed people here, so those walls were, as you can tell, there are some holes there. So those are evidence of the bullets that went through the wall, and that's why there's some flowers there, because a lot of people were killed in this wall. I don't want to get people depressed. Please don't. I'm gonna go through this pretty fast. I just wanted to show you because we were talking about World War II. I think it's depressing to talk about this, but it's good to know. It is good to know. Sometimes we don't realize. I mean, we live in, well, I mean, with this pandemic, these are not good times. But before the pandemic, you can appreciate, that we don't live in those times anymore. And that's actually, well, I think that's one of the furnace that you, Dianora, where you were talking about. Uh, oh, okay. Let me read. You wrote something. Okay, let's see. Fly Mighty B says wars are brutal like this still. Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, Fly Mighty B, I didn't know that. Okay. Well, respect to your dad. That's all I can say, man. Respect to your dad. Uh, Beautiful film by Hayao Miyazaki. Yeah, it is a beautiful film. And now you said, since you mentioned Schindler's List, the one next to the Tombs of the Fire. Oh, yeah, that's right. That is also a very good film. And if you want to get depressed one day, watch that movie. That I saw that movie only because it was a Ghibli film, but it is very sad too. It is very sad film too. Yes, I agree with you. Um, yeah, that's true. It makes you cry. That's a very sad film too. Looked for the novel in which the animation is based, and so it's based on a book. That reminds me. There's another one. Hold on. Okay. When I was at the Hiroshima Museum, which I think I might have photos, but I don't have them here, I saw this book. I don't know if you can see it. It's called Barefoot Gen. Well, I saw the book and I was kind of puzzled. Like, what is this? They're selling anime in a atomic bomb museum. And I talked to a girl, She was actually one of the few that could speak English, and she explained to me, this is a cartoon story based on what happened in Hiroshima, and this is the story um, that someone told about what the story of one family that's, I don't want to say survived because they didn't survive, but they survived the bombing, but they did not survive the radiation that came afterwards. But there's a movie of this too, and this is, I don't know, let me see. It's different. It's several books. It's not just one. But let me see if I can just find it. It's basically before and after the bombing, but it's also the pain that families went through when they had nothing after the bombing. Uh, let me just show you just a couple of pages. Uh, just a lot of them. They're just a lot of text. Hold on. Okay. So it's kind of like, it's just kind of showing you a little bit of the, I don't know, it's easy to see. So it's, I'm sure you can find it in Japanese, possibly in Spanish if you Google it. I found this I bought in Japan, and it was in English because they wanted uh, non-Japanese people to read about this story. Uh, but it goes into a lot of detail of how everything happened and the bomb is dropped, and like it has a lot of illustrations. Like you can see the Enola Gay there. I don't know if you know, the Enola Gay is the one of the planes that had the bomb. So, and then and it shows when they drop the bomb. So like I said, it goes into a lot of detail, and then it shows you the actual bombing. I don't know if you can see it there. So it's a very sad story, but it's a very interesting story. So if you can check it out, uh, I only have I used to have I had two volumes, but a Japanese friend borrowed it, and then she left and she took it. I don't know what happened. She forgot. So I only have this one, but there's quite a lot of volumes. Okay, so anyway, that's the furnace. That's where. Oh man, well, all I'm gonna say is this is where they burn people. I'm not gonna say anything else. I'm just gonna show you the photos. I don't know what that means. Well, I guess it says it's electrified. Yeah, I'm assuming. See how big it is? It was enormous. And that's where they kept a lot of people. And, oh yes, I remember this now. They explained it to me. Every time they brought new people into the concentration camp, they would do it on trains. So once the train crossed that main gate and they parked or stopped there, people were doomed. So basically, that meant that once you crossed that gate and the train stopped, like that was the end of you, because that's where, excuse me, the train stopped and they would just take everyone out and they would tell them that they were just going to sleep, but after that it was just hard labor, very hard labor, and I think these train tracks became a symbol of that, just very horrible stuff. And I think that was probably one wagon of the train. I don't remember. And that's one of the entrances to many of the areas within the concentration camp where people had to work a lot. Okay, I think that's the end of this. Anyway, okay, I'm glad I'm done with this because this is pretty depressing. So, but anyway, I just wanted to talk about it because yeah, well, we talked about what about the book that you wrote. So let's see. There's anything about Japan? Oh, okay, Imperial Palace. Okay, there's more imperial stuff here. Well, I'll show you the photos, but I don't remember the content. I mean, it's the Imperial Palace. I'll show you. I think here. Oh, I was using my. I was sort of experimenting with my lens. I have a big telephoto lens. It's a 70 to 200 millimeter lens. You want to see it? Let me just go get it. Hold on. Okay. So this is a telephoto lens. It's for a Canon camera, and the way it works is okay. Well, I'll just show this. So basically, you just put the body here, and then you have these controls. Let me just see if I can. And then here you put the little thing for the what is it called, the your tripod. So if you want to take photos with it, you just put the thing here, put it on the tripod, and then with this you control the focus and the distance, and then also here you have different settings for like how if you want it automatic or manual, that kind of stuff. And this is just for to avoid lens flares. So it almost looks like a gun, but with this I took these photos right here. So so it was an excuse for me to take photos with this lens. So anyway, I'll show you the photos. So the idea here, I was trying to play with the foreground and the background. So this here, well, obviously the sky is the background, right? And then here, the middle ground, or the midground, sorry, midground is this tower. And then my foreground is this. And obviously you can tell there's depth, right? You can tell there's distance. As opposed of having a flat photo where everything looks crunched, like all put together, like the sky, the building, and the trees. When everything looks sharp, it's just like it compresses everything and it looks flat. Here I was experimenting with that, trying to see if I could get some depth. So that was the whole point of this. Here, I mean, it kind of works because everything looks big, but I didn't have foreground. I only had midground and background. The same thing here. However, here I have a little bit more perspective. So here I have these lines on the buildings. You can see these lines here showing distance, and also you see a little bit of haze, so you can tell this is far away. And that's sort of like what I wanted to accomplish with these photos. I wanted to show that there's foreground, midground, background, and show the distance in between. But here, I mean, you could argue that these trees are my midground. But I mean, not really. Depends how you see it. Like this is obviously in front of the building, so this is foreground, this is midground, and then this is my background. And then here, I was very puzzled by all these kids. Like, I didn't know that this is an actual school uniform. I didn't know, because in the schools that I went to, we didn't have to wear uniforms. And I think even in Texas, I don't remember seeing that. I'm sure some schools do. I just never saw them. And here in Canada, I don't think I've seen that. So here in Japan, you have to wear uniforms. Let me just read really quickly. Zero travels. You know what? That's cool. We can do that. Oh, that reminds me, before I forget. Remember, I don't think Monkey's here, but Monkey suggested to do a stream about programming. And I'll be honest, if you guys remember, the ones that have followed me from the very beginning, I am learning Python, and I have done a few things, but lately, because I was busy, I'm always busy busy with work and busy with my YouTube videos, which by the way, I invite you to check on my YouTube channel, CEROSFX, um, just like that, just like my name here, CEROSFX. I just uploaded my latest one. Okay, that's the end of the advertising. Um, because I was busy with that, I didn't do my programming tasks. So Monkey suggested, what if we have a stream about programming? So I thought, well, sure, why not? You know, like we were talking about doing Blender and all that. I actually thought, well, why not? Like maybe every other week, have either Friday or Sunday, just one Sunday could be programming, and then the next one could be Blender, and then the next one could be something else. But the idea is that I need to continue with my programming, and because I know some of you guys like programming too, like you, Fly Mighty B, I know Monkey does. Like he already asked me twice, like, hey, can we do one about Python? And I said, sure. So I said, why not do something like that? Like one stream, it doesn't have to be the 3 hours, but we could do 1 hour of just sharing stuff and talk about Python. That would be pretty cool, and it would help me, get my things rolling with my Python skills. So let me know if you like the story. Okay, so that was it. Now let's carry on with this. So yes, I did not know that in Japan they had uniforms, and it's part of the. Well, I don't know if it's like a social rule, but apparently everyone wears a uniform, and depending on the uniform is what grade or what seniority you have in school. So anyway, so that's that. And I think also I think teachers have uh, uniforms. I think those are teachers, I believe. And they were going, that was a school that was visiting to see the Imperial Palace. And here, okay, here I was practicing with the lens that I was telling you. Here I got this guy that is in the, let's say, foreground, and then I have my background, and it looks very out of focus. And that's what I was trying to aim. So this is not the best photo, but this was the best I could do at the time when I had this lens, because I was still trying to figure it out. So I like this photo for that. That's why I posted it. Here, again, I was trying to play with the perspective. Here I have this foreground, these columns right here, or whatever these things are, and then my midground and background. And I think this shows a lot of depth. This shows distance, and that's something that you can do with this type of lenses. That's why this type of photography, you can only do it with these lenses. You cannot do it with phones, with smartphones. Now, having said that, if you have a Google phone, or maybe the new iPhones do it, they fake it. They fake it, but it's not real. So you know, it's just an algorithm that sort of I think, I don't know if you can tell it with your finger, or it's an algorithm that knows, that reads maybe distances with the lens, and it's like a little, like post-production. It's like a visual effect. It just does it for you. And I've seen it because some people have shown me photos and they look pretty cool, but once you zoom in, you can tell that the edges, especially on a person's hair, you can tell the hairs are not, it doesn't look right. So anyway, so if you want to get into photography, invest in one of these. And lenses, they never go down on price. Lenses never go down in price. Cameras does, the bodies does, but lenses, no. Okay, let's carry on. So again here, some more students. Again here, me practicing with the telephoto lens. I'm assuming here I was very close to some columns or some ornaments, and that's why it looks like that. That's the Imperial Palace. That is the palace. I was actually very far away from it because I cannot get close to that place. But I used the telephoto to take a photo that makes it look like I'm very close to it. But that's where the emperor lives with his wife, or it's not wife, emperoress. I don't know how to say that, but her friend. Maybe someone can correct me. I don't know how to say imperatrice, well, the emperor's wife. Some fishes eating. Again, me practicing with the lens. Again, once again, taking more photos of the buildings. Again, playing with this, what I was telling you, the harmony between nature and buildings, just to see all these buildings all crammed together in the same space, and then have green areas in the front. I like that. I think it's cool. I wish we had that here in Canada. We have green areas, but they don't look like this. I think these are bonsai trees, but I think I'm wrong, because bonsai trees are the tiny ones, right? The miniature trees. So maybe these are called something else, but bonsai trees look like this, but small. So I'm hoping that you guys understand what I'm telling you, that these are Japanese trees, and when you watch the Last Samurai, you don't see these trees. Oof. Okay, let me drink some water. My throat is getting dry. You know what, guys? Yes, I mean, right now, because obviously my excuse is that I like games, because everyone uses Twitch for games. But as I am doing these streams, I am realizing that I have a lot of things to talk about, and I never thought about it. Like, first it was visual effects, but now today I just decided to talk about Japan just because I saw the my Google photos, and now I talked about these movies. You know what? It would be cool if you guys get to watch this, and then we can talk about it here. That would be pretty cool. That would be cool. And also, before I forget, the movie I was telling you, I want to see if I can find it. It's Letters of Iwo Jima. Hold on. It's Clint Eastwood. Letters. There we go. That's the movie I was telling you. Yeah, Letters of Iwo Jima. This is the movie I was trying to tell you guys. This is a movie about the war in the Pacific. And this was this is the Japanese version. Oh, no. Is the Japanese side. Like, this is the perspective of how the war was in that moment from a Japanese soldier. But this is a movie that Clint Eastwood wrote and directed. So, and he did two more. He did another one. So there were two movies. It's like a twin movies. This one is one, and then there was another one. Let's see. It was 2006. Okay, no wonder. It's been a while. But there's another one that... Okay, let's see. We might be able to find it here. Okay, let's see. Actor... No, where's director? No, director. Director here. 2006. Okay, yeah, this is it. So, Letters of Iwo Jima. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that's one. And then the other one is... Oh, I lost it. Director. And the other one is Flags of Our Fathers. So these two movies kind of came out at the same time. And this is the story of this very, very famous monument of these soldiers setting up the American flag. And it's just the different perspective of the same story, but from the American side. So it's really cool that he did that to get the two views. So if you guys have the chance to check them out, I mean, they're pretty old. I mean, 2006, right? So yeah, check them out. I think they're pretty cool. Okay, so let's go back to the photos. Okay. So again, this photo I like because in this frame, I'm compressing all these buildings all together, different shapes, very sharp edges, as you can see, some reflections, different angles. All of them are 90-degree angles, especially in just the divisions of the structures, and then have these green areas, which is just nature. I like that. I think it's pretty cool. I think the same thing here. Wait a minute. I think we saw this already. Okay, I'm going backwards. Oh, okay. I think we finished with this. Okay. So, okay, there's more photos. No, this is the same one. Miyajima. Okay. This is another temple in Japan. I forget what this one is about. They all have different meanings. So sorry if I don't remember. But yeah, I took a lot of photos here. A shrine. It's all made out of wood. The trees, man. The flowers in Japan, pretty cool. The temples. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, and they're big. Like I don't think there's a person here to sort of get a sense of scale, but they're pretty big. Ooh, this photo is a little blurry. And look at the floor. It's very, very clean. It's wood, but they treat the wood like they do. I don't know. They explain it to me, but basically it goes through a treatment that takes a long time, because as you know, in Japan, they're very respectful about walking into indoor areas, and they wear socks, but they're not any socks. There are some traditional socks, and they make sure that all this is clean, that there's no splinters, and I remember they explained to me how they did it, but I don't remember. But you can tell there is wood, but it just looks like, I don't want to say like brick or like marble, but it looks very, very well, that they take care of it. Again, playing me here with just the perspective with the lens. More sakura flowers. Sakura, I think that's how you say in Japanese. Sakura. Sakura desu. I think. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I'm pretty sure it's Sakura. It's not Sakura. Sakura. By the way, is anyone playing that Japanese game, the latest that came out? The Shadow of what? Shadow of something, I forget. Oh, I like this photo. I think this one came out good to me because 50% is foreground. Foreground, and the other 50, I'm just showing the midground and the foreground. And sometimes when I take photos like this line right here is like over here or right here, and it doesn't really show the perspective. And here I think it's more on your face. It's more evident. It's like easy to see. Okay, I don't know what this is. Maybe they were fixing something. Oh, this photo is just okay. I was trying to do my best to just focus on the letter, on the flowers. Okay, I want to show you. Oh, a little deer. Oh, I'll show you. I have the videos. I'll show you here. Let's go to my Vimeo. I'll show you. Let's see, my photos. What? Fit your profile. Nah. 21 videos. More. Okay. I think last week I showed you this, right? You guys saw my 2D animation work and all that. If you didn't see it, I can show you again. So just let me know here in the chat if you want to see my 2D animation. But what I want to show you right now is, well, I'm going to show you this too, but I'm going to show you this. Okay. Okay. So again, this video I'm about to show to you, it's a collage of time lapses that I put together in 2 years using several lenses. This is one of them, and I used a 7D camera and Mark III full sensor camera, and the other one is cropped, the 7D, and I took this in a period of 2 years in different places I visited, like Japan is one of them, New Zealand, Canada, and in the US, more precisely in Texas. And it has some audio, and so I'm just gonna play it for you. 6 years ago. Jesus Lord. Okay. Guys, tell me what you think. I'm very curious to know now. Um, One thing I can tell you though, uh, I'm gonna play it, but I'm gonna turn down the volume. I'm going to tell you what these places are. Actually, it says right here, it's a collection of time-lapse photography shot in Canada, US, Japan, New Zealand. Oh, it's the same thing I told you guys. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you what these places are. That is in Wellington, New Zealand. That's Wellington. This is the Bay Area. Weta Digital is like somewhere here. And basically just drive around the Bay Area to get to here. And it's like a 20-minute drive. So that's Wellington, New Zealand, yeah. And this was in the morning. I think it was probably like 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's what this was. This is Vancouver. This is below one of the bridges that connects downtown to the south of Vancouver. So that's that. This is Stanley Park. This is downtown Vancouver, but this is just a big park. And this area right here is North Vancouver, and behind this park there's a bridge. It's called the Lions Gate that takes you to North Vancouver, and there's ocean behind this tree. So basically downtown is like a little island, and then there's like water around, and then there's the mainland. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, so that's what that was. This is Wellington, New Zealand. No, wait, no. This is Vancouver. It's still Vancouver. Yeah, that's Kitsilano. Yeah, that's Kitsilano Beach. This is downtown Vancouver. The bridge that I showed you before, that was underneath this, and now I'm on the other side. And this is also the you could say the river that goes around downtown. Okay, well, this is the second part of the shot before. This is Wellington. This is Wellington, New Zealand. I went there to visit some friends, and they allowed me to use their balcony to shoot this. Sorry. Oh, this is Japan. This is downtown. This is the Tokyo Tower, the very iconic one that you probably have seen in movies and in cartoons or anime. This is the Bay Area. This is Tokyo Bay. This is the Rainbow Bridge, and that is the Odaiba Island. This is the man-made island. That's where they have a lot of businesses. There's that's a TV station. I think Fuji Television is there. That's where they created Dragon Ball. Is in that building right there. And then if you saw the Gundam, the statue of the Gundam, that's also in that area. And all this is just Tokyo. That's downtown. This is in the English Bay. That is like maybe 30 minute. It's a 30-minute walk from where I live. Okay, that's Hiroshima. This is that's the building I was telling you before. The one that remains from the atomic bomb. That's it. That's the same thing, just different angle. This is also Hiroshima. I just took just a time lapse of just the traffic. That is Vancouver, Canada. That was one of my first ones. That's also Hiroshima, but this in an island that is like maybe 30 minutes away. You have to take a ferry to take you here, and it's like a little mountain in the ocean. And I just went to the top and took this time lapse. That's Wellington, New Zealand. For this, I don't know if you know, I don't know if you can tell, but it's very difficult. Oops. It's very difficult to do a time lapse and then have it move left to right. So I had to get a camera track. So it's a motion control camera where it's basically a rail. You place the camera, you set the timer, and then the camera moves. It takes a photo, like takes one photo every minute. So to do this, I had to probably stand there, wait 2 hours just to get maybe 30 seconds of footage. So it did take a while. That's Nagasaki in Japan. That's the second city that got bombed. That's again Tokyo. I like this because, as you can tell, there's a big cloud that goes over the city, and you can see how the shadow sort of embodies or just goes over all the buildings. Oh, and that's the what is it called? The sky tree. That's like, now this is the biggest tower in Japan. It's way bigger than the Tokyo Tower. So you can tell how big it is, how tall it is, I should say. That's also in Miyajima Island. The sea level was very low, so that's why people were walking there. I'm just gonna stop it there for a second. So you can tell usually the water is like this high, but in that moment the sea level went down and people were just hanging out there. Now that's in Nagasaki. I actually went up there. That's I'll show you photos later. Well, in this there's this footage here too. But I actually went up there. This is a building where you go around and you get to the very top and you can take photos. And from here you can see Korea on the other side. And because if let me go back to the map. Where's the map? Oh yeah, here. Let me show you. I'm gonna zoom out. Like I was telling you before, Nagasaki is here. Okay, no, it's probably then this, what you can see. Nagasaki is here. That's where the other bomb was dropped. Here. Okay. That's Wellington, New Zealand. Okay, that's the Imperial Palace. The photos I showed you are from there. This is Wellington. Okay, this is Nagasaki. This is a monument to the atomic bomb. Apparently this embodies that this monument is pointing to where the bomb was being dropped, and then it's telling you that peace is that way. I don't know how they come up with this. All I know is that that's what this means. This is pointing to the bomb, and this is pointing to peace. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. So this is also the Bay Area of Nagasaki. I was very impressed by the all the industry they have. Like, look at all those enormous tankers, gigantic tanks, and they're far away. And look how big that is. And there's a lot of industry in that area. Okay, so this is easier to see now. This is the Rainbow Bridge. This is very iconic, but you can see this in a lot of if you watch videos about car culture in Japan, especially Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and all that, they always use that setting to shoot their YouTube videos, and this is just very iconic. Why they call it the Rainbow Bridge, I actually don't know. Now all this area that you see here is a man-made island that did not exist. Japan built it, and in here there's as you can tell, there's a park, there's different hotels, there's the Sega, what is it? Sega what? There's a Sega Entertainment Center there. I just forget the actual name of it. I might have some photos to show you here. That's Fuji Television. Whenever they have like what would be the equivalent of Good Morning America or like the morning news, they do it from this ball right here. And when I got in there, they actually have a whole hallway full of Dragon Ball merchandise and art. Uh, well, I think it's because obviously they produce the cartoon, uh, but I don't know if they actually have. Like, I don't think they make the animation there. I think a studio makes the animation, but they air it in this studio. Okay. Mm, okay, that is the Hiroshima Atomic Bomb Museum. So the building that I showed you before, where you see the remaining of the building that was destroyed, that is still standing, that's actually that way. So it's kind of like you're standing in between that building and the museum, and all this is sort of a monument for that event. And that's what you see right here. That's the actual museum, and it has floors like all this. You go from one end to another end, and they have like a basement where you can actually walk underneath and see more stuff. They have so much stuff, you could spend a whole day or 2 days in the museum just reading and learning stuff. That's Hiroshima. That's just some random uh, stuff. Okay, this remember I was telling you that I went to the top of this um, mountain and that there was a circular building. That's on top of that. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna try to see if. Okay, I'm gonna show you this thing right here. I went up there. I took a bus to get up there, and I took this footage, and it was pretty cool. Amazing. It was very cold though, because it's very cold up there. That is in Queenstown, in New Zealand. I'm gonna Google it here, Google Maps. I'm gonna show you what it is. Google Maps, Queenstown, New Zealand. I didn't even type it correctly, but it's here. No, Queenstown. Yes, it is there. Yeah. So this is New Zealand. This is Auckland. So remember I was telling you that when I went to Japan, I had to fly from here. This is where Weta Digital, this is where Peter Jackson lives. Here, Wellington. That is the capital of New Zealand. But the capital of New Zealand is a small town. There's half a million people. There's 400,000 people only. Maybe there's a little bit more now, but it's a small town. And the biggest city after that is Auckland. It's a big city. It's kind of like LA, if you like. And that's the biggest city, but that Auckland is not the capital. So basically you fly from here to here, which is 1 hour, and then from here I went to Japan right here, which is 10 hours. So if you remember what I was telling you, from here, if you go to Japan from New Zealand, is you just go straight up. And if you go from Canada or the US, it's this way. But when I went to Japan the last time from Canada, the airplane actually went this way. Like it actually went like this. Went up here to Alaska and went around Russia and then came down. Why? I don't know. I'm sure they have a reason for that. Maybe Fly Mighty B, who knows about airplanes, might be able to tell us. But yeah, that's what I remember. So anyway, so let's go back to New Zealand. So what I just showed you, I took a plane from here to Queenstown, and here in Queenstown is where I took that this footage that I'm showing you right here. So that's Queenstown. This is Vancouver, Canada. This was one of my first ones. If you notice, I made a mistake. It's a little blurry because I didn't really focus that well. I thought I did, but I really like the footage because it looks like the sky is on fire to me. And also this one, it was a sunset. This again in Nagasaki. Okay, this is in Wellington. I'm gonna show you again here. In Wellington, Um, there's a mountain, I think is here. Oh yeah, I think it's here. Yeah, it's up here. This is the space place at Carter Observatory. This is a mountain, and up here, let me see if I can click on it. Can we see some photos? Let's see. Well, I want to show you photos of outside, but well, I mean, you can tell it's up. Well, it's not that high here, but my point is that it's in a mountain up there, and I took that from there, and this is downtown Wellington. And if you remember I was showing you the photos of the Hobbit premiere. Remember I told you that they closed one street and they put a red carpet through the entire road? Well, that was this one right here. This. So that's it. Okay. Now this is from the same spot, but I just turned the camera to the other side. That's the airport. That's the Wellington airport. So I just took, it's just a time lapse of airplanes landing and taking off. That is in Queenstown, the top of a mountain. I hope you guys can hear me. I don't see any feedback, so I'm hoping that's also Queenstown. Okay, let me just read. Oh, cool. So you guys, it's just I don't know if you guys are watching, so I don't see any text. So okay, cool. So you guys are watching it, cool. And this is obviously the moon. And I was just testing if I could take photos of the Milky Way. Now this is the Milky Way. As you can see here, is you see how it is rotating? That rotation is the rotation of the Earth. So this is where the South Pole is pointing. That's why it looks like that. So this rotation is not that the Milky Way is rotating, is the Earth rotating, and that's the motion that you see here. So very nice, very nice. So cool. Thanks for listening. So that's the rotation of the Earth. Oh, another thing that I should say, because as you know, Wellington is in the southern hemisphere. Well, if you look at the map of the stars, how they're charted in a map, if you look at Orion or all the different constellations, if you look at a book that was edited here in North America, you'll see them in a certain way, right? And you see the Pegasus and all that, all the zodiac symbols or signs. Well, if you go to New Zealand, because obviously we're upside down, the map looks backwards. Like everything looks upside down. Because if you think of it, I don't have anything to show you, but okay. So let's say this is the Earth, right? So this is North America, right? We're right here. So we're standing like this. But if you go to New Zealand, you're like this. So you see everything that you see around, it's flipped or flopped. No, I think it's flipped. So it's upside down. So a lot of the stuff you see here, if you were to show it to someone that knows astronomy, they might go, "Why it looks upside down?" But that's because it was taken in New Zealand. That's why. Okay, so this is Nagasaki. This is the bridge in Nagasaki. As you can tell, it's a Bay Area. So so yeah, that's what this is. Okay, this is cool. Right now, this Gundam is no longer there. Right now, there is another one. It's I think every 2-3 years they change it. I don't know which one they have at the moment, but this is one of the first ones. I think this is the Gundam from the 70s, I believe, and they have a show. That's a mall. That what you see right there is Diver City, Tokyo. That is a mall. It's also in Odaiba, where I show you that is next to the Fuji television, where there's that ball at the top of the building. And at 7 o'clock at night, every day, they used to, I don't know now because of the pandemic, they used to have a show. It was a 30-minute show with the Gundam. And what they would do is that they would project behind the Gundam, there's a screen, and they would show or display a segment of the actual Gundam show, and it was basically an episode. But the idea is that whenever there was an action scene with the Gundam, and the Gundam was actually like in battle, or if they let's say they start the engines on the Gundam on the show, the actual Gundam that is standing there would react to it. So if let's say that there was in the show they had the pilot starting the engines, and you could see the lights turning on the cockpit, you could see the same thing happening on the actual Gundam. And also if there was an explosion or something like that on the cartoon, you would see steam coming out of the Gundam, and also the Gundam would react, like it would like move and pose in different positions, just to sort of mimic what's happening on the show. And they had speakers and everything. It was pretty badass. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I don't recall. I don't know if I filmed it. I don't remember. Maybe I do. It's just it's been a long time. But I did manage to get to do some time lapses of this. Now this is Kyoto. This is Kyoto, and I was just in the middle of the street in a safe area doing this time lapse. That is Texas. That's in Austin, Texas. I went to visit a friend who lives there, and she let me use her balcony to shoot some stuff. I think I only did a couple. That is also in New Zealand. That's where I used to live. There's this big tree, and as you can see, the sky is moving because the earth is rotating. Okay, this is Roppongi Hills. This is the area I was telling you that there's a lot of GIs and American soldiers and tourists. That's there. That's it. That's Roppongi Hills. Okay, this is Hiroshima, and this, you see this bright spot? That's an actual. Is it this or this? No, it's just I see this too. It's just there's a baseball stadium here, but I don't know. Maybe this is the stadium. I'm not quite sure now, but my point is that this bright area, that's where the museum, the atomic bomb museum of Nagasaki is, and that's where, when they dropped the bomb, it landed there. It exploded like right before it hit the ground, but this is ground zero. That spot right there. So yeah, and well, they have a base. As you know, in Japan they love baseball. I think they love baseball more so than sumo fights, and that's a baseball stadium. I should probably make this bigger. And that's in Queenstown. Again, I was just doing a time lapse of the sky, of the stars. That is in Austin, Texas. So it's just the highway. I don't know which highway that is, but it's a highway. That's the capital right there. Okay. And again, this is the Milky Way. As you can see, this is in Wellington. And I was just trying to get the rotation of the. Okay, this I don't know if you can tell. Hold on. That is the Orion constellation, but it's flipped. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's these two more. I think is this it? I'm pretty sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I forget now. Sorry about it, but that's why at the time I did know. So that's why I made a close up there. But anyway, so that's it. Okay, and this is the end of the video. So okay, so that's that. Okay, now I want to show you another video. This is oh, my videos. No, I don't want to go profiles. Well, anyway. Okay. I want to show you, this is a video that I took also in Japan, and I made it, and it's okay. It's not the best, but I was just experimenting with my iPhone 5 at the time. So I just want to show you. Hold on. I'm going to start it from the very beginning. I'm going to turn up the volume, and I'm going to let you listen to it. Okay, guys. Wow. I had totally forgotten about this video. It looks pretty cool. I mean, just kind of makes me remember things. What I was gonna say. Okay, this is in Miyajima. This is the island that I was telling you that is like 20 minutes away from from Hiroshima, where the bomb was dropped. And this is just a tourist attraction, but it's really cool because you go there by boat or a ferry, and then from there, it's just basically going up to the mountain. And there's a lot of deers. There's little houses, but every time you go all the way up, you come across like little shrines where you can pray, and there's a lot of deers there that want food, so you can feed them. So it's actually pretty cool, and you probably saw that in the video. There's a few deers there, so and they're very friendly deers, very nice. Okay, let me just turn this down. I just want to show you. This is in the just the Bay Area. I don't remember what this means. It's been such a long time. I wish I had prepared for this. One thing I wanted to say though, if you remember on the previous video, I showed you that the sea level was low, very low. I took this in the morning when I got there, and look how high the water was. But the in the time lapse that I showed you, that was later in the afternoon the same day. It was probably like maybe 6 hours later. So it's impressive. In 6 hours, the sea level went down, and that's when I did the time lapse. And this was in the morning. This was like probably 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was cloudy. And then later it cleared out. But it was all the same day. It was part of the tour. Okay. See, now I see this and it makes me wanna play a Japanese game. But I don't feel like playing right now. It's too late. I might have to get ready for tomorrow for work. Need to wind down. Let me just go over. This is all in the same spot. Let me just see. Okay, this is at the very top. This was at the very top of that mountain, and it was amazing. I just did the time lapse, and it's just to see the clouds getting, and it rained a lot. I was freezing to death when I was doing that. Okay, this is the deers hanging out there. See, this is what I was telling you. 6 hours later, and the water went down, and look at that. People were just chilling there. Pretty cool. I'll tell you one thing that I'm not happy about this. I like this, but I made a mistake, and I'll share this with you. When you make time lapses and you're taking photos, because it's not video, it's photos, you should use raw footage, because raw footage keeps the entire information of what you're shooting. Like in this case, the sky, the trees, the ground. I made a mistake here because I used JPEGs. JPEGs are very low quality photos or images. So if I wanted to grade it and bring back detail, with JPEGs, you can't, because JPEG is just a compressed version of an image. So in order to fit it on your phone or your camera, it compresses it. So you lose information. Whereas if you shoot raw, you get a big file. It's a photo that is probably like 4 or 5 megs, whereas a JPEG is only a few kilobytes. And the reason I'm telling you here I made a mistake is because even though you see a lot of detail on the floor, well, on the ground, the people and that, in the sky, I lost a lot of excuse me. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna finish this. It's already 3 hours. So I lost detail in the sky. Look, if you look at the clouds, there's no detail. I lost it. And I tried really hard to bring more detail, but like here in this area, there's nothing. So, but anyway, I just wanted to point it out that to you guys. Now this one I liked it because I used my phone, and when I shot the tracks, I don't know if you could tell. Obviously, it's a very interesting effect to see that. It looks very stroby, but my point is look at the precision of the tracks. Like for the bullet train, they have to have really special, very aligned, well maintained, straight tracks. Otherwise, the bullet train would not travel. So that's sort of an example of that. And well, this is what you saw before. This is Hiroshima and all that stuff. And this, okay, let's just This again, the bullet train, and I just thought it was interesting to see how they connected to different trains right here. And I don't know what train this is, but and this is the Panasonic Solar Arc. I don't know what this is, but it looks enormous. Look at that. So that's why I put it there. And another baseball. Okay, so I'm gonna bore. I'm not going to bore you again with all this stuff. Oh, these are just this again. This is in the Osaka aquarium. That is really cool. If you have the chance, it's badass. And this part is probably the highlight, where it's like a gigantic piece of glass where you see all these different species swimming, hanging out, being friends, and it's just enormous. And it's all glass. You can go there and touch it, so it's pretty cool, and it's very cheap. I paid, man, it's cheaper than Canada. I can't believe that. Here you pay like $40, and they don't even have that. And there I think I paid like $15 for the whole day. Okay, guys, so that's the end of it. So, okay, so, oh yeah, that was the photos. Okay, guys, I want to thank you for hanging out with me. I hope I didn't bore you with all this war stuff. I just thought it was interesting to talk about it, and well, I mean, we can do this. We can, the next one we can all play more games. That's what I was gonna do, but I got detoured into this, and I thought it was really cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Also, if you guys are interested on doing one stream about programming, I think that's something I would like to do. I just want to know if anyone is interested. I do want to do it because I need to get going with my programming skills. So anyway, so if you guys want to, just let me know. Put it in the chat or just wait for it. Okay, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. Let's see who. Well, I don't think there's many people here, so I don't know if I could rate someone. I don't think is Portador here, or anyway, I could. Is anyone wants to? Okay, I see. All right, that was pretty fast. Raid. Okay, I got it. Okay, let's raid Juan. Okay, Juan Osorio Art. Juan. Is that correct? Let's see. Juan Osorio Art. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time. See you Wednesday in the Spanish stream. So have a good night, guys. Bye. Did it work? Oh, I see. Okay. It's in Spanish too. Oh, very nice. I'm keen to see it. Fly Mighty B. Okay, let's go. 3 viewers are okay. Juan Osorio. Let's go.